Hi everybody, this will be part 13 in the character texture creation tutorial series. Last video we talked about how to apply opacity map textures properly back into Maya. We also have our base color texture maps of the body set up properly as well. So this video will discuss how to save out all of your textures and Maya files properly, zip the folder so that you can send this off for someone else to review. In order to save the textures effectively, we have to set it up this way so that makes sure it's easy for someone else to open this up without having to do a bunch of work. So we've talked about this in previous videos, but I have a folder, subfolder, that the only thing that's in this folder is my Maya file and my required texture maps. It also builds a Maya swatches subfolder as you save your Maya file out. My folder above that has all of my intermittent files, my exported OBJ or FBX files, my reference images, as well as my Substance Painter files and temporary files. So you're going to save all of this other content outside of your final folder. Do not save Substance Painter files and other files because those can be pretty large. This is 365 megabytes of a Substance Painter file. So instead, I've created this secondary subfolder that says Mill Model Final Textures, and in this folder are just the necessary files needed to load my textures on my model. You don't have to use project folder setup from Maya. You should not use subfolders, so don't take your individual texture maps and create subfolders with them. It will not work properly that way. But if you follow this setup, it should load properly, and then when you zip your folder, you can send it off to someone else and it will open up for them properly. So make sure you save your Maya file in Save Scene As in that Mill Model Final Textures or whatever you name that folder, the same exact location as your texture maps. Let's go ahead and save that. And then you need to make sure you load your texture maps from that folder. We can't load our texture maps and then move the texture maps into this folder. The texture maps need to be loaded in this folder before we load them into Maya. So what we can do is open up our Hypershade Material Editor, and let me make this larger. Go to our Embody or all of our materials. Scroll down here and find our texture maps. Click on the folder or the file node, and make sure this is going to that Mill Model Final Textures folder or whatever you call that subfolder you just pulled it in. As long as this is going to that folder, you're good to go and ready to save out. All right, so we have everything in here. What we can do is just make sure we frame up our character so that we're looking at a character from a visually pleasing angle, not too close, not too far away. And let's do a final Save Scene As, save it on top of that file. Replace that. All right, now we're ready to zip that folder to send it off. Now, when we're zipping the folder to hand off to someone else to see, we don't want to zip the individual files. That's not going to work. We want to go back up one and right click on that folder that has all of those textures and the Maya file in there. Just the final textures, just the final Maya file. All of my other files I save it in another folder, my temp files or backup files. So don't put any backup or temp files or painter files or anything else in your final folder. Create another folder for that. And then when you're ready to zip this, you zip the folder. So I'm going to right click and let it load for a second. And I'm going to choose Send to Compressed Zip Folder. Okay, that might take a second. But after it's done, it's going to create this Mill Model Final Textures.zip file. It's about 50 megs. So it should be good enough to send through email or send through a cloud network or upload it in another way. But an easy way to send your files to someone else is to zip the folder after you have loaded all your textures in that folder. Now, the person that would be opening this up would then just right click and extract all of that. And then once that's extracted, the easiest way to open this up is just to double click that Maya file again to make sure everything loads. So let's close Maya out. And a good way to test this is after Maya is closed, let that finish closing. I pause the video. Well, there he is. Okay. No need to pause. Is so after Maya closes, after you've loaded your textures, you think they're in there properly, double click that Maya file individually. And if you've done all these steps properly, the texture map should load when you open up the Maya file. So you shouldn't have to go back and reload them. If your textures turn out black instead of the visual look of the textures, or if they're green in Maya, that means the textures are not loading properly, as in the link is broken and not set properly. So we need to go back and follow this video to make sure the textures do load properly in Maya. This might take a second for it to load because I still have Photoshop and Substance Painter open. But the idea is to set your project up properly, save your Maya file in that folder, put your texture maps in that folder, no subfolders, and then go into Maya and load all of your textures in Maya. Save your Maya file out again, and then if you zip that folder, everything should go with that project properly. I'm going to pause the video and wait for it to finish loading, then we'll come back. Okay, so it's starting to load again, so we'll let it read all of that. Oh, here we go. Here we go. So it's going to read all the textures and material. And then when it opens up, our textures should come up properly. Here we go. Textures load. So it looks how we want to. It's saved how we want to. Let it finish opening up Maya before I spin around too much. Okay, and we're ready to hand this off for someone else to view. So that'll wrap up this video of how to properly save and zip your folder down for someone else to view this.